Falcon fans, and of course, good old Falcon fans. You already know what it is. You already know what to do. One time for the fan, episode 188. We checking in live here on this rainy Wednesday night out here in Atlanta. Big shout out to everybody that's jumping up in the chat here too as well. Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Amazon Podcast. Man, we are everywhere because we do good things, and the fans know it. Terry, you know it. Chase, not here tonight. Definitely Chase knows it. Bodie, not here tonight. Big shout to Bodie. How's everything going for you, T Will?
Hey man, I'm taking it day by day. I thank God I'm here. It's a great day to talk about Falcons football, sir. Let's get into it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Went straight to it already with the Falcons football on the welcoming message. So for fans in the chat, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Cool CC's in the chat with the hashtag one time. Hashtag one timers. Hashtag one time. Throw the emojis around too as well. You see DSGB Halls in the chat. Throw the one time emojis around. Hashtag OTFTF. Marina's in the chat too as well. Tell your Falcons friends. Tag your Falcons family. Of course, we're almost at we're pushing that 1,000 subscriber mark. We crossed over 500, so that was a big milestone too as well. So we're moving in the right direction. Want to give a big shout out to all the fans in the chat, all the fans
absolutely
who've been watching one time for the fans since day one, or if you joined
what's up, Marino?
Last season, this season, doesn't matter. Thank you all. Deshaun Coswell's in the chat too as well. Said, "What's up, one timers? Falcons
What's
looking
up,
good
Deshaun?
before the draft." Yeet. Get some. Deshaun old school with it, with the old school Atlanta with the yeet.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. That's going back some days, man. That's when I was a teenager. I can dig it.
Taking you back, man.
Hey, let me tell you something, man. When I was a teenager, we used to have this club in Lithonia, Georgia, called Motions. It was a teenage club. Now, you got to be 50 plus to remember that, because I don't think it was around for that long. So for those of you out there who do remember it or are old enough to remember it, shout out to you.
Hey, look, Falcon fans in the chat are live and lit. Once again, rainy night here in Atlanta. Hopefully there's no connection issues. Terry, you getting a lot of rain over there around your way in the A?
I'm getting some rain. Yes, sir. Okay. I am getting some rain. But you know what? We're going to try and pull through.
Yeah,
we are gonna pull through.
Yeah, and we'll get about this podcast real soon. So Falcon fans here that's listening or that's watching, it's going to be a nice little quick 1 hour show for you all. We're getting ready for draft, because that's going to be our 2.5, 3 hour episode with a lot of Falcon fans in the chat talking Falcons football with us. That's going to be on the podcast too as well, talking Falcons football. So bring your questions, bring your comments to the chat wherever you're checking in from. Big shout out to all the diehard Atlanta Falcon fans that's watching or listening, whether you're on Facebook, like I said, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, YouTube, Twitter. Welcome you all here to the channel. Yes, Jeff Wolf, 1 hour tonight. We're going to try to keep it within 1 hour. We love talking Falcons football with everybody.
We do.
Right? And it's tough, right, Terry? Because sometimes we know we have to get off and get ready to go do something else. But we have some other things we want to talk about. Man, we haven't even talked about Drake London a lot. We haven't talked about Grady Jarrett a lot. Like, we haven't talked about even Jesse Bates a lot. Who else? Clark Phillips. Like, there's so many topics that we can bring up every single day, every single show that can just keep us going past an hour, right?
Or two, or three, or four. I mean, wow. Jack, I saw something today, and it was almost funny.
Mm-hmm.
I saw an article that said, Falcons defense is in a critical condition. Their paltry defense is just, and it was such a negative article. Now, again, maybe it was spin, maybe the goal of it was to, I don't know, generate, maybe it was clickbait. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But just in case you forgot, right, from the just in case you forgot category, we have Jesse Bates, who, if you don't know, is an absolute stud, a defensive star. As a matter of fact, here to going forward, he will be referred to as Mr. Jesse Bates because he's earned that. He is an interception turnover machine. He is that dude in that defensive backfield. We got Mr. AJ Terrell, same defensive backfield. We got Mr. Caden Ellis. We got Mr. Troy Anderson.
DeMarco
We got
Hellams.
we got DeMarco Hellams. We got my man Nathan. We got David Onyemata. We got Grady Jarrett. We might have Eddie if he sticks around. But my
As
point is,
our good friend JR said, once the Georgia Heat settles in during training camp, we'll see
we're
where
gonna
Eddie goes.
see
But
we're
yes,
gonna see what
Terry.
it's all about. But my point is, this Falcons defense is lined with stars. It is filled with stars. We don't need to draft superstars. We need to draft solid players. We already have superstars on defense. This Falcons team, and it's unfortunate, but they are being misjudged by so many people.
Mm-hmm.
This Falcons defense is going to be phenomenal. And I just felt the need to say it because
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading this article like, did we watch the same defense last year?
Mm-hmm.
Did we watch the same team? So anyway, I just felt the need to say that. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jack, but
You
hey,
definitely
man,
bring up a point, Terry, because you're talking
yeah,
about the defense, and we're going to the defense tonight because we spent so much time recently on the offense because that's
yeah,
what
we
the
did,
moves that was being made in the free agency.
yeah, we
From
did.
of course, Ray being signed, and of course the trade of Desmond Ritter going to Arizona, and they brought over Rondell Moore and Darrell Mooney, and of course offensive lineman re-signings too as well. Then Kirk Cousins. So we already saw some offensive moves being made, and now we're on the defensive side of what the Falcons seem to be doing. Terry, we went through like 2 or 3 podcasts here with special guests and everything, talking about what the Falcons were going to do defensively, and there was no moves, there was no action, and then
Mm-hmm,
they came out the gate with the Kadarius Street resigning
mm-hmm,
too as
mm-hmm,
well, right? He comes back down, and then they go with um, Antonio Hamilton, a cornerback that we didn't get a chance to talk about last time on the podcast,
mm-hmm.
but Antonio Hamilton is now an Atlanta Falcon. And just going over Antonio Hamilton, because we're going to break down a lot here on One Time for the Fan, because everybody's in the chat. They are live and they are lit.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just go ahead and get straight to it. Sup,
Shucky
Sullivan
Ducky
Sullivan.
Quack Quack.
Shucky
I
Ducky's
see.
in the chat. It's going down
I
and make your way.
I hear you, Sullivan. I hear you, man.
Go ahead and clear this off. Get the share screen up. Falcon
Let's
fans, hit
do it.
that like, hit that share, and hit that subscribe button. Um, Antonio Hamilton. So we talked about the Falcons depth chart. We talked about, and of course, they're still making a lot of moves, and they have the draft coming up too as well. But CB2, right, the cornerback spot
Mm-hmm,
next to AJ, was something that
mm-hmm,
we were talking about here on the channel for a minute because we didn't know where they were going to go with the move that they were going to make at cornerback. Was it going to
mm-hmm,
be first round in the draft? Was it going to be after the draft, going back into free agency, or was it going to be before the draft? And bringing in
mm-hmm.
Antonio Hamilton on the deal that they did, I don't think he's just going to be a guy who is going to be a camp body, so to speak.
I don't think
I
so
think
either.
Antonio Hamilton might be a guy who can possibly make this team, and of course be. I'm sorry, Terry, but on the field more than 50% of the time, right?
Agreed.
And there's a couple
Agreed.
guys who get signed to be camp bodies. I mean, we see that from time to time.
Mm-hmm,
But going over what Arizona had last season with their snap count,
mm-hmm,
Antonio Hamilton was out there more than 50%
mm-hmm,
of the time
mm-hmm,
with the
mm-hmm,
Cardinals. And the
mm-hmm,
Falcons need a cornerback too badly. And I know Clark Phillips has been doing a fantastic job too as well here in Atlanta. I know D. Alford has been doing a fantastic job here in Atlanta. So it's something to watch for. The camp battles, Terry, we talked about here on the channel before. And now as we get closer to draft, some fans start to wonder with the 2 signings that the Falcons brought in at cornerback, Antonio Hamilton, and then Kevin King, which was surprising,
mm-hmm.
who hasn't played
It
football
was.
since 2021,
It really
uh,
was.
has ties to Jerry Gray, has ties to Jimmy Lake too as well, the defensive coordinator. But seeing the Falcons make 2 cornerback moves here in the offseason before the draft, um, I still don't think that I don't think they're going to target a cornerback with the first pick.
I
But
don't either.
they
I
go
don't.
corner
I
in
agree.
the draft, though.
They could. They could. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I do not think with the first pick that they do target a cornerback specifically because if you look at the PFF numbers for Antonio Hamilton, he's at a 64.7, which is decent. Okay. Kevin King's last year playing football in 2021, he was a 70.6 PFF. Now, for reference, AJ Terrell is a 74.6. Now, that's your number one corner. So, this could be a competition between Kevin King, Antonio Hamilton, and Clark Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, I do not think that we're going to draft a cornerback first round. I think it's edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher. And oh, yeah, edge rusher again. That's what I
Sheesh.
think.
You can't go
Yeah.
wrong with too many edge rushers. But
No, you
bringing in
cannot.
Antonio Hamilton, it does give the Falcons some depth at corner.
Yep.
Because if you're looking at the secondary right now, and big shout out to Scott Karisic too as well, the secondary. Terry, can you see everything?
Yes.
So you can see the secondary right here. AJ Terrell. Now you got Kevin King, Natron Brooks, who's on the team. Fans might say that's a camp body. Clark Phillips, Antonio Hamilton in the mix. D. Alford. Big shout out to D. Alford, Team Glow, and Mike Hughes too as well. Which some fans are thinking, oh, Mike Hughes is going to be up out of here soon. I do think the Falcons do go corner somewhere in this draft. There is room for more competition going into training camp at cornerback 2. If you're just going to give it to Antonio Hamilton as making him the CB2, then it's like, where was the competition in that? I know AJ can stand on his own. We know that. AJ stands on business 24/7. But if you sign Antonio Hamilton, even looking at his stats, he has some starting time in the NFL. He has played in that position, for a while now, where he's decent. He's not the best corner in the league. We're not going to say that. But if they feel comfortable to play Antonio Hamilton, he has provided some stats that some fans would worry if he could be the cornerback 2 of this team, which then some fans would believe, well, Kevin King was signed and Antonio Hamilton was signed. Come on, Jack. They're going to go cornerback with the number 1 pick. With the number 8 pick.
Yeah, but don't overlook Kevin King.
Overlook
Kevin King. Kevin King took 2021 off of because essentially, I think he had played 5 years, and all 5 years in the league, he was injured and had surgeries and went through essentially rehabilitations over the past 5 years. And he talked about it in his video, and he said this was the first year that he was healthy, and he just wanted to take some time off to, I guess, rejuvenate, whatever. And then when he came back in 2023, he got injured. But this is a guy that when he last played was a starter, had a PFF of 70.6. And again, that's just 4 less than AJ. So if anybody's your starter, it's Kevin King, in my humble opinion. Now, it could be neither. The Falcons could still draft someone in the round, but even if they don't, I think we are okay. Doesn't mean we're great. Would I like for us to draft a corner? Definitely, because you can never have enough good corners. And as far as I'm concerned, you can never have enough competition. But if they didn't, it's okay. I still think they will draft. I just don't think with all these corners we currently have on the roster, you're doing that in the first round. The more and more moves they make, the deeper we get into it, it really looks like they're going to go edge rusher. And they may even trade back, Jack, to do it. They may even trade back, get some more picks, and still go edge rusher. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now.
And of course, the Atlanta Falcons, with the addition of Kevin King, he has some ties, like I said, to Falcons secondary coach Justin Hood, right? He has some ties to Jerry Gray, right? He has some ties to Jimmy Lake when he was in Washington too as well. So for Falcon fans here in the chat, you have a guy who the Falcons feel comfortable with. Relationships. We talked about that here on this channel, and Raheem keeps mentioning that too as well. You talked about home too as well. And that doesn't just mean for players playing in Atlanta. right? That just means for like players playing how they feel comfortable, who they're with, like that environment, right? Like some places, like when we do like the Rise Up tour parties, like when we go on the road, fans tell us they appreciate the parties because it makes it feel like home, right? You feel what I'm saying? Because when we're on the road, we're bringing Atlanta to another city, you know what I'm saying, and throwing these parties. So for the Falcons, Kevin King has relationships here. When he comes to Atlanta, he's not like just a newbie. He's played in the NFL before, right? And he has connections with some some very important guys here on the coaching staff. So we're going to see a camp battle that's going to be, I think, really important here for Atlanta between Antonio Hamilton, between D. Alford, between Clark Phillips. And the good thing about it is that's the battle that Falcon fans want, right? They want to go to camp and see some type of battle. But right now, Terry, let's go ahead and mark this down. Chat, let's go ahead and get this down, right? In our notepad or in our Falcons playbook, whatever. Cornerback 2 is going to be a battle at camp. 2, 3, 4.
I would agree.
Back, anybody outside of AJ Terrell is going to be a battle. Terry, we got that down?
Agree.
So yes, we're going to camp. Falcon fans, when we go to camp, you know what we're looking for. We're looking for that cornerback 2 battle too as well, unless they just go ahead and sign a cornerback that we know is automatically going to be the CB2. Like some fans are looking at Hamilton like, yeah, he's definitely gonna battle it out. Fans looking at Kevin King like, what? Kevin King? All right, he's gonna battle it out. But then fans want to see Clark Phillips, rise up the ranks. They want to see D. Alford rise up the ranks. Some fans are saying that Mike Hughes can be the cornerback 2 here on this team too as well. I'm just telling you what I've heard and how I've talked to fans too as well. Because right now, some fans don't fast forward time, Terry. They're looking at the roster and they're giving their opinions, right? And if we go back, let's bring up the share screen. Let's bring it up. Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. Here it is.
Kevin King is also 6'3", by the way. Chad.
Yes, that's another thing too as well. Big physical corner. But if you're looking right here, Terry, at the the unofficial depth chart, we have to say that unofficial because it is the off season.
Unofficial.
AJ Terrell, Kevin King, Antonio Hamilton, Clark Phillips, D. Alford, Mike Hughes. Let's just say that was your cornerback room. You wouldn't know outside of the experience of Kevin King that he's played in the NFL, and of course Antonio Hamilton too as well. Who's going to be the starter outside of AJ Terrell? That's why fans are going to look for the competition battle.
Yeah,
this wasn't like when Casey was here and you knew that was 1 and 2, or last year where it was Akuda and you knew it was 1 and 2.
1 and 2, right? You
don't know who 2 is right now, looking right here on this chart. So we're going to mark it down when we go to camp, unless we find out between now and camp that they have a cornerback 2 in mind. Maybe it is. Let's just say you draft the rookie now, right? First round, you do a trade, back up, you go get a guy in the late first round. That seems to be your starter. Am I right, Terry?
It does.
That was probably going to be your starter.
Yeah, if you're talking about a first round pick, absolutely. I mean, you don't draft him to sit, so yeah, you probably traded up to get him if you go back in the later round. So yeah, no, you're not drafting him to sit. I would agree.
Yeah. Falcon fans, it's very much so possible that if that happens, then you're looking at your cornerback 2. Now let's go to the other side of the ball here. I'm sorry, not even the other side of the ball. The defensive line, where the Falcons bring in James Smith-Williams, which we talked about on the channel here. And then JR from Pound for Pound. Big shout out to JR, who was on our channel the other night talking Falcons football with us. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Pound for Pound. But JR was telling us about the defensive ends and the edge rushers that were still available and who the Falcons could be looking at if it wasn't a Bud Dupree, if it wasn't a Calais Campbell to come back. And the Falcons go and sign James Smith-Williams, who formerly played with the Washington Commanders, who I will say, Terry, and I talked to some Falcon fans too as well, because I love talking with Falcon fans.
You love it, man. 80 on the run.
James Smith-Williams. I watched some tape on this kid playing in Washington. Of course, as Falcon fans, we don't see too much of James Smith-Williams. Though we did play Washington too as well. But he has a high motor, man. He has a high motor.
You know what I really noticed about him, Jack? His outside leverage. His technique as far as keeping the quarterback
track down in pursuit and awareness
is not only that, but he maintains the line. He
Yeah.
does not let the quarterback get outside of the pocket. He maintains that outside line lane integrity. He does that
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
Watching him over and over and over again, I noticed that because there's a way to go at a quarterback, and then there's a way to go at a quarterback while maintaining lane integrity. And he
Yeah.
does that very well,
Yeah.
very well. So,
And going
and
over
basically,
his stats too as well. He is what 6'4", 265. So you're talking about a
he
defensive
is
end here, Falcon fans.
the big boy. But for those of you who may not be aware of what lane integrity is, it basically means that he goes after the quarterback, but he does not let him get outside of him. He doesn't let the quarterback get outside the line that he's established. If the quarterback is going to run, he's going to run within that line, and that's what we call maintaining lane integrity. And it's important because if you most not most, but some quarterback scrambles are because the defensive end broke to the inside, the quarterback scrambled to the outside, and 20 yards later, somebody's making a tackle. So if you have a defensive end pursuing a quarterback, it is very important to maintain lane integrity. And this guy does it really well. So just wanted to highlight. He also, Jack, has a PFF of about 58.6.
Mm-hmm.
For comparison's sake, Grady has a 70.1. David Onyemata, and I didn't realize David was such a stud, has an 83 PFF score.
Yes.
So just for reference.
I mean, the Falcons are bringing in some guys here. I think for Falcon fans, we knew some of these 1-year deal guys were coming, right? I mean, Terry has done a great job, and let's give a round of applause for Terry here on the channel. Sorry, I don't have my soundboard hooked up. We're gonna get one, but if the Dixon way was here, I'm guaranteeing you there would have been a round of applause or something going on in the background right now for
Definitely been some
Terry
claps.
Fontenot.
Definitely would
He
have
has
been
done a
something clapping.
great job picking up some 1-year deal guys. So
Yes,
let's see what James
absolutely.
Smith-Williams, let's see what Antonio Hamilton, let's see what Kevin King can do first,
Mm-hmm.
right? Before we start making judgment. But there are some fans that are saying, hey, I'm just not sold on a starting. They're not sold on James Smith-Williams being the starter, being the
Well,
guy, right?
he's not the starter. You
Yeah.
don't draft him to be the starter, right? You draft him because again, let's be
I
real.
mean,
In today's
not draft. I mean,
NFL,
James Smith-Williams from the
I'm sorry,
Commanders.
sign. I
Yeah.
apologize. I apologize. You don't sign him or any of these. Well, I'm not going to say you wouldn't sign Kevin King, but James Smith Williams, you don't sign him to be your starter. You sign him to spell someone or relieve someone. In today's NFL, you probably got to have at least 10 to 11 defensive backs that you can rotate in and out. Because if you don't, by the time the fourth quarter comes along, these guys are going to be tired. This guy basically has a 60 PFF, which is decent. He is a decent defensive lineman. He is decent. And decent is pretty good coming off the bench. Decent starting, I don't know. But decent relieving somebody, that's pretty good. Everybody's not going to be a superstar. You're not going to field a whole team where everybody, even the bench guys, have PFF scores of 95. It's just not going to happen. But as far as these signings are concerned, to your point, Jack, they're 1-year deals, which means, guess what? Next year, hey, this person's gone. So if they don't work out, they don't work out. You're not losing resources. You're really not losing that much money. And if they do work out and they are role players, all the better, which is what I think James Smith Williams signing specifically is. We could still go out and get Calais. We could still draft one of the big three that we talk about every week. So I think it's a good signing for what it is. What are your thoughts, Jack?
I also think with the James Smith-Williams deal, big shout to Terry Fontenot for what he's doing right now in the offseason. But with the James Smith-Williams signing, now we can kind of look at it might not be Bud and Calais.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
That's just my opinion here. I don't
It'll
see
be either
Bud
or.
and the edge rusher here. Why? Because Falcon fans, let's go back to the screen again. God, I love bringing up this share screen. Big shout to Scott Kursick too as well. He's on the channel, but he's put out, the unofficial projection. But
What's
if you
up,
see
Scott?
it,
Wherever
David
you are.
Amiata, Lakel London, Grady Jarrett, Tyquan Graham, Wellington Prevlon, who of course we don't see, for most Falcon fans would say we don't know if he's going to be making the roster here. Tommy Togai, Eddie Goldman, James Smith Williams now is in the mix, right? Zach Harrison is also on the team too as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? So to bring in Bud and Calais and the edge rusher too as well, Falcon
Mm-hmm.
fans, that's a tough decision.
It'd be a bit much.
It'd be
Yeah.
a bit
So
much.
yeah. So
So
you're probably looking at one or the other, and whoever you draft.
also, why did you make the move to go after James Smith Williams if you wasn't, too unsure about Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree? You could have brought back Bud. What is
You
this?
could have.
What is the situation with Bud that you couldn't go back and bring him back?
You could have.
They made a move for James Smith Williams. They saw something in James Smith Williams that can fit this team possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Lake getting his defense in order, Terry?
Hey, Jimmy is doing his thing, man. Jimmy is doing his thing, and I'm not mad at him. Like I say, man, we have stars on this defense already. We have at least 4 or 5 studs. It's what 11 players on defense. Half of them are studs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just go out and get really good guys in the draft, you have the makings of a very good defense and a very good offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know where all of this, the Falcons defense was pretty good last year. They were just on the field too long. You put anybody on the field for 35, 40 minutes, they're going to get tired. I tell you what, you reduce that time to 30, maybe even 25 minutes a game, you will see them for the superstars that they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the moves that he's making because again, it's about the sum of the parts,
mm-hmm.
right? It's about the sum of the parts. With Grady and Onyemata coming back, I don't think people realize when those two played together just how well our defense was. Let's be real. What defensive lineman has Grady played with that helped him? Not that many. For the most part, for most of his career, he's been double and triple teamed. You couldn't do that last year with Onyemata. You're really not going to be able to do that with Eddie Goldman if we can get him past the state when it gets hot. Is that what we said, Jack? Yeah, if we can get him.
When the Georgia Heat hits, we'll see.
When the Georgia Heat, yeah. If we can get him to stay past that, you got Eddie Goldman, you got Onyemata, you got Grady, and this is before you get to the defensive lineman. You got some problems. I'll tell you what you're not going to do. You're not going to run that ball. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Which is why I'm not necessarily sold on this being the defensive front. You still got to add to it. I mean, some fans will look at the team and say, well, where is the holes that we have to fill to make this team better? I see a couple.
I would say edge rusher, definitely.
You can get that draft night. Get that draft night.
Obviously, cornerback.
You can get that draft night.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, we can be very focused and very strategic on drafting.
Yeah.
We can go with wherever we want to go. We have 8 picks. There's more than enough resources, and I think the draft is deep. The draft is deep enough for where we are and what we want for us to get really all that we need.
So, everything that you need, you can come away day 1, day 2, and day 3. And I think Falcon fans are now set up to say, we're feeling good about the roster. Don't forget, this is unofficial roster. But we know some of the players who's going to be on the 53. We already know that. But we're feeling a little bit good about that. And then to add to it, Terry, there you go again, cooking with these 1-year deals. Bringing in a Kevin King, who some fans can say, well, he has some experience. Let's see what Jimmy Lake and this team can do, right? Let's look at the secondary coaches we have, the defensive coaches, and say that they have experience with a lot of talented players in the NFL. And then for them to bring in Kevin King, that might be a guy that they're looking at to say, let's work this guy out. Let's see what he has. Antonio Hamilton, too, as well. Another 1-year deal. Big shout to Terry on that. James Smith Williams, big shout to Terry on that. But now it's time to start getting cooking when it gets to the draft. Now it's time to start getting cooking, right? So does it change our draft board? A little.
It could. It very well. Well, I think it changes it from the perspective of you're now not going to draft a quarterback in the first round.
We know that.
Yeah, I think that's what we know.
I love the Michael Penix talk. I love it. It sounds good, but it's not at 8. So I know a lot of fans.
I don't see that.
It can happen. It's not at 8. But what you could do, if anybody's feeling anxious, Terry, if anybody feels like they want to move up, I would love for the Falcons to trade back.
And I think that's what yeah.
And stack this defense.
Agreed. Let me tell you something. I think that Michael Penix interview was a stalking horse.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was designed to just drum up interest to say, oh, the Falcons are thinking about Penix at 8, to put the fact that, okay, they may select a quarterback here, whoever the quarterback is, Penix, whoever, right? JJ McCarthy, whoever. I think the Falcons wanted it out there that they are considering drafting a quarterback so that when they're on the clock, right, whatever opposing team is out there, it's in the back of their mind like, look, they may select our guy here. And maybe they're just a little more desperate to make a deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe instead of a first and a second round, we get a first, a second, and a third. Or maybe we get a first and 2 seconds. Or maybe a first and 2/3.
Even better as you're continuing what you're saying, before they even get on the clock, they already know that there's trade candidates available.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's what it was about. I don't think the Falcons have any intentions on taking Michael Penix in the first round. Maybe the second if he gets there. But I definitely don't think they have any intentions on taking Michael Penix in the first round.
Big shout out to all the Falcon fans in the chat. Hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. The Dixon Way raid is going on in the chat. Big shout out to Breeze in the chat. Big shout out to Morgantron in the chat. Hysterical Cheese is in the chat. John Brooks is also in the chat. And of course, the legend himself, the Dixon Way. Larry is in the chat.
Dixon Way. What's up, Larry? How we doing, man?
Give you a big shout out, Larry, on your soundboard and of course your show too as well. Y'all doing great things over there on your channel, man. We can't wait to get you back over here on One Time for the Fan, chopping it up with T Will about Kevin King, Antonio Hamilton, James Smith Williams, the recent signings for the Atlanta Falcons, how it could change our draft board right now, which for some fans are still saying no, it's edge, but then there are some fans that are saying, Terry, maybe it is wide receiver at 8.
How would you feel about that?
That's the shocker. That is the shocker for me. Because if it's going to be an edge rusher, perfectly fine. I kind of thought about that. If it's going to be a cornerback, perfectly fine. I thought about that. On my draft board, there is a wide receiver. But to do it in the first round is the shocker for me because you went Drake London a couple years ago. You went Kyle Pitts a couple years ago. You went Bijan Robinson last year. Reward us with a defensive player, right? Let's get on the board here with a defensive guy. That's just my take. I'm not the Falcons, so we will see what they do. But Terry, that's just my take. But your thoughts, draft night, you're sitting there and the Falcons select a wide receiver. It could be one of the three, a wide receiver. What's your thought on that?
My thoughts are if you select a wide receiver in the first round in this year's draft, you are not going to re-sign either Drake or Kyle. One of them is going to go. Now, that doesn't make it true. Again, this is just hypothesis. Maybe some would even say maybe hyperbole. But as badly as we need an edge rusher, right? Okay. There is one exception. If Marvin Maserati Harris is available at pick 8,
come on,
you already know how I feel about it.
There are some fans who think that Marvin Harrison will be on the board
if
at
he 8. Is there at 8. I can't be mad at that pick. Terry, because do you realize that we would score 38 points a game?
Terry, what are we doing tonight, Terry?
Jack. Let me tell you something, brother. We would score 38 points a game, Jack.
Speak on it, man. Hey, you talking about? Hey, I ain't gonna lie. You're going to put up a lot of points if you draft Marvin Harrison Jr.
Jack, people would never leave because we'd still be scoring. We'd have like the backup quarterback in and they'd still be throwing touchdowns.
Well, what is going to happen after Kurt with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson? I must ask the question because that's the first thing fans would think is when Kirk is gone, you bring in a new quarterback. Is he going to be like a Kirk? Is he going to be like a Matt Ryan who can make the wide receivers, better around him? I mean, it's a tough decision. Now, if you get a guy in the 3rd or the 4th round, it's not like you're holding them to that major standard. But then the Rams, with the system that they had, drafted Nakua later in the round, later in the draft, and
I get it.
Be a star, So
I get it. But again, Another quarterback replacing Kirk Cousins right now is tomorrow's problem. However, as far as today is concerned, if you draft Maserati,
Mm,
Marvin Harrison Jr.,
mm.
oh my word. You will literally, man, you might score 40 a game. You might score 45 a game. They might be calling games because we're scoring so many points. You know what? Stop it,
See
Falcons.
what you're saying. We
You
might
do
score
this every
100 if we
week.
get Marvin Harrison Jr. on the team.
Bruh, they're going to be like, Falcons, please stop it, okay? You're
Look,
running up to score on every opponent you play. And now we got to switch games. We're tired of switching games, Falcons. Come
look.
on.
Here's the cool thing. Terry, agree or disagree? Because the team is setting up to look so good, because the Falcon fans know that there's a tough schedule and we get it's looking like we're going to get some primetime games. I'm just going to go ahead and
Mhm.
say it because we got a stacked schedule.
Yes,
Let's
we
be
do.
real here. We got a new
Yes, we do.
$100 million quarterback. We got a stacked schedule. Let's be real here. We got a new head coach. We got
Gonna
too
get
much.
some new cheerleaders too. I hear we're gonna
Sheesh.
get new cheerleaders.
Oh, I
Yeah,
hear we might be we're getting ready to talk about it next. New helmets too.
that's right.
Right? We're getting
New
ready to talk about that
swag,
soon. New
new helmet swag.
swag. And we got
What?
some new Rise Up Tour stuff coming too as
That's
well.
what
So
I'm
Falcon
talking
fans, we
about.
getting brand new everything this year.
That's hey, let's get to it.
Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Once again, we are almost at 1,000 subscribers. Help us get there. Tell your Falcons friends. Tag your Falcons family. We're all one big Falcons family. We all want to win. We're trying to find ways to win. We're going to remain as positive we can about this team in the offseason because once the season starts, it's down to the nitty gritty. And you're going to be here with us in the chat, and we're going to be here on the channel. But yes, Falcon fans, big shout out to Dwayne, everybody here in the chat, the Dixon Way. Jami's in the chat too as well. Raid from the Dixon channel. Travis Preston is in the chat. We have a players coach that, along with Terry, is going to fill this roster the proper way. You are hearing it right here.
Solid, Travis. Solid, Travis.
Big shout out
Solid.
to Travis.
Agreed. Agreed. Solid. Yes. Yes.
Wayne Dwayne.
What up, Wayne? What up, Wayne Dwayne?
One
What's
time.
going on, man?
But for
Hey,
Falcon
man,
fans,
I like that banner. I love that banner. That's what it's about right there.
It's
That's
about
what
the
it's
A,
about.
man. It's
Definitely.
about the A.
Amen.
It's about the A. But for Falcon fans that's excited about the draft, we're excited too. That's why we keep talking about these players. And I'm looking at NFL Network, Kool-Aid McKinstry. That's a guy who could be an Atlanta Falcon, possibly, right? And it could be a day 2 pick, right? It could be a guy that could end up in the late first round. But we don't know where some of these players are going to end up until draft night. But the way the draft is looking for the Falcons roster right now, I'm still focused on the edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm focused on that and a corner too as well. So I'm looking at the Falcons' first 3 picks. This is just me. And I'm not even going to go position group. I'm going to say defense, offense. First 3 picks is going to be defense, offense.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go in the route that I think fans have been seeing it all season, all off season. You go get Kirk Cousins. Got to go reshape the wide receiver room, right? CP's gone. I think there's going to be a running back selected in like the 3rd or 4th round.
Mm-hmm.
So Falcon fans we're going to those mocks going to go like crazy
Mm-hmm.
in a couple of days because it's possible that they're probably going to draft a running back, another offensive lineman, another linebacker, depending on Richie Grant, a safety,
2 defensive linemen.
But I was getting ready to get to that. Another defensive lineman. It's too much talent in this draft here, Falcon fans. It's way too much talent. But everybody from the Dixon Ways channel and Smitty and Berto and Out of Your Falcon Mind, who will be with us next Sunday, talking Falcons football with us. It's just a great feeling to be a Falcon fan, knowing that we were setting up for success. Oh, look at that! I just mentioned Smitty, and there goes Smitty right there.
Smitty, what's up, man? How you doing, Smitty?
Big shout out to Smitty in the chat, who will also be joining us for a couple minutes on draft night too as well.
Hey, man, and shout out to Smitty. For again, not to air my personal business on there, but my mom is having her health struggles, and Smitty wished me well the other day. Took the time out of his very busy day to do that. So, Smitty, I appreciate you, man. I really do. I want you to know I appreciate you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Okay, back to Falcons. So go ahead. Go ahead, Jack. Sorry about that. I would be remiss if I didn't comment on that. So
that's what it's about here on One Time for the Fan, man. Like I said, it's a one big Falcons family. We're gonna win on and off the field, and that doesn't just mean it in sports. It just means in a lot of other things too, as well. A lot of us here do support each other on different avenues, from just the podcast, and of course, we see each other at training camp, home games, away games. A lot of us have broke bread together, have drinks, hang out, taking pictures, photos. You know how it is, because we're all one big Falcons family. But of course, also prayers up to you too as well, Terry and the family.
I appreciate you, Jack. Definitely.
Always
appreciate it, man.
And Smitty is here in the channel. A1 Forever, who's also been on the podcast here before.
A1 wish me well as well. What up, A1? Hey, A1, big shout out to A1, man. Not to cut you off.
Creators are
A1. Hey, man, A1 had me on his show the other day, and we were talking Braves, and it was great. So, and as a matter of fact, Smitty was on there as well.
Nice.
So, and not only that, but our future guest, John, from Out of Your Falcon Mind, was on there as well, which we're going to see John this Sunday, correct?
Nice. John's going to be on the podcast with the Sunday. That's correct.
Yeah. Correct. So it was cool. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, John. Thank you, Smitty. Appreciate y'all. Nothing but respect and appreciation, brothers. Go ahead, Jack. Now I'm going to shut up because I'm talking too much. Go right ahead.
This is what the podcast is for. Like I said, and Jeff Wolf said, 1 hour. This is how we get to 1 hour. Right? We have to talk to the chat. We're talking with the fans. The fans are chatting back with us, because the big respect goes to the fans. I mean, we can talk Falcons football all day. The big respect goes to the fans in the chat, because
definitely
you guys are here taking the time out of your day to listen to us Sundays, Wednesdays, pop-up shows, Friday mornings. Talk Falcons.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, the topics that me and Terry and Bodie and Chase and everybody got to put out on the channel and Smitty, we got to talk. We talking Falcons, man.
Yes. Absolutely.
This is big for us. Like, this is a team that we respect. This is a team that we love. This is a team that we support. Most of you all know the schedule drops about a month from now. You all going to start putting your money aside to start getting these games ready. Start canceling your future trips that you scheduled in the fall, just so you can be in the bins, or on the road,
in the bins, or on the road with the Rise Up tour. Either way, you're gonna have a good time. You see what I did there? That was a plug. Either way,
with the Rise Up tour, is getting ready to happen right now.
You're gonna enjoy yourself. It's good. Not only that, man, we got stuff planned for the show that we can't talk about. We got stuff planned for this show right here that we can't talk about, that if you show up at these events, you're gonna love it. But anyway, I digress. I am under strict orders to not talk about it. So
it's not like you didn't. It's not like you didn't sign an NDA or anything like that. It's not like
that. Yeah.
For Falcon fans in the chat, we have some things that we have planned, and we just want to make sure everything's confirmed so we can get everybody out there. But it's not like, we're trying to just, I don't know, go overboard with some of the stuff we want to do. But
we're just trying to keep everybody involved, man.
Yeah, we're trying to keep everybody involved and engaged and entertained, and either it's on the podcast or if it's in the streets of Atlanta, we want to make sure everybody's just enjoying what we have here on the channel. So for everybody in the chat, big respects to you all. But we're almost at that 1,000 mark. That is another big thing too as well. Because when we first started on the channel with me and Bodie, and big shout out to Bodie too as well. You'll be seeing him here shortly. He's enjoying this,
and Chase,
and Chase too as well. And shout out to Kiki too as well. When I started the channel back then, and big shout out to Eric Parker, who was our first special guest on the show.
LBB.
It was at a point where fans in the chat would, jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out. So we didn't know what was going on, right? And then it got to a point where fans were like, they were in here constantly, right? Talking Falcons football. They loved the content. They loved how positive we were after, the loss or a loss. But players, joining the organization and leaving the organization. And we went over so much with Matt Ryan and Mariota and Desmond Ritter. Now we're at a point where I feel like we're going to win here soon. I really do feel it. I feel like we're going to win here soon. And it's getting that 2016 vibe again. But this time we're going to finish the deal. And it doesn't have to be this season. It could be next season. But my 4-year window is up for the Atlanta Falcons. Not saying I'm done with the Atlanta Falcons in 4 years. No. My 4-year window is here to say, this is it. I think within the next 4 years, we're going to win a Super Bowl.
This
And
is it.
I'm going to be here. Terry's going to be here. Chase, Bodie,
Mm-hmm.
Chat, be all here with us as we talk Falcons football into that point. But I caught it before Kirk Cousins was even here. I was like, we're getting so close to even make the playoffs again that every team's going to have their run, man. Every team is going to have their run. Falcons going to have theirs shortly. You got Kirk Cousins in the building. I know what some people are saying about the injury. I understand what Cam Newton's comments was, but what we have here in Atlanta is even bigger than Kirk Cousins. It's bigger than Jesse Bates. It's bigger than Grady Jarrett and Davion Miotti. It's bigger than Jake Matthews. It's the commitment of everybody, right? The entire 53 that's getting ready to be formed here in a matter of months.
It's bigger than Nino Brown.
Shit,
it's the tough. American way. What?
That is tough.
It's bigger than Nino Brown. Hey, man, shout out to Lisa Shepard, by the way. I always see Lisa up in here. So what's up, Lisa? Shout out to Lisa. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. Did you happen to catch – oh, wait. Yeah, definitely Smitty. Thank you. Did you happen to check the interview? What's up, Benny? Did you happen to check the interview with Kirk Cousins and Shaq? Did you happen to see that?
I caught some of it. One of the biggest things I took from it was the same thing a quarterback said in Atlanta last year. Or, I'm sorry, when he was drafted.
Bringing a Super Bowl to the city?
Bringing a Super Bowl to the city. This time, it felt a little bit different because I know who my quarterback is. It's very much so possible that Kirk Cousins, who was on the Shaq podcast the other day, I'm going to be committed to doing everything I can to help us. He said us. Win a world championship. Kirk Cousins is at the point in his career where he knows he's not 22 no more. He's not 24.
More years behind you than in front of you.
Yes. Arthur Blank knows he's at a point in his career where this is not where he just, took over as the owner of the Falcons. It's not at that point.
Fourth quarter.
This is a team that knows, except for Terry Fontenot, this is a team that knows they have to win now. Joseph Avery
win now, baby.
Blitz.
Win now. Oh man,
on the channel.
Joseph.
That is a fan.
As a matter of fact, I think we had a player that was a part of the Grits Blitz that died recently. Joseph, I don't know if you remember him, but he was a member of the team. He was a member of the Grits Blitz defense. He died recently, and I saw the article. And I can't remember his name, but anyway, definitely condolences to he and his family. Former Falcon for life. So there you go. But with that being said, yeah, man, I definitely think our window is within the next 4 years. I might say our window is definitively within the next 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Because, hey, contingent upon the moves we make in this draft, brother, man, this thing might be lethal. I mean, this team might be lethal because we have so many weapons. And not only that, right? You can have a Ferrari, but if you don't know how to drive it, what's the point? Yeah. I really think Raheem knows how to drive.
Yeah.
I think Raheem knows how to motivate. I think he knows how to set up coaches. I think he knows how to set up a team. I think he knows how to pull the right strings. I think he's a bit of a psychologist. I think Raheem is ready, and this team has been ready. And this city is definitely well done for a championship. And I just think you add all of that together, man. What's Lisa talking about? Cam has been taking shots at the Falcons for a minute now. Not sure what he want to play. He want to be a Falcon. That's all. And hey, man, I don't have an issue with Cam. I get it.
And I just even the Lamar Jackson, they could have got Lamar. Look, we're past that. That's what we'll say. We are past that. It's good for the media. It's the off season. Get the ratings, get the clicks, get the views, get the likes.
Yeah, clickbait.
Eat that shit up.
Yeah.
For us here at One Time for the Fan, Kirk Cousins is our quarterback. And we need to go ahead and get ready for this run if we have, once again, not only a healthy Kirk Cousins, but you have to have, a team like in 2016 that sticks together on every single play. Like you saw all 53 players on every single play for most of those games. together on the same page. That's how they made it to the Super Bowl. You can get that back this year. You hear the comments from Raheem talking to the first group that walked into the workouts the other day. Punch your ticket. I'm going to continue to say that here on the channel because week 4, week 5, we're probably going to be winning the division. Week 8, week 9, we're probably going to be winning the division. Punch your ticket. Falcon fans, hashtag punch your ticket. We're going to be saying that this year as we get ready to get to the playoffs. Punch your ticket is going to be so big for us because we haven't been to the playoffs in years. And like Raheem said, once you punch your ticket, anything can happen. I'm going to go back to my friend who's a Texans fan, right? And the past couple of years, he's just been getting just a flat line. Just, man, it's been looking bad for the Texans before CJ Stroud got there, right? I wanted to curse right there, but I just had to hold myself back from it. But for him, he knew that the Jacksonville Jaguars was a team to watch for in that division, right? Because they was adding weapons and they was beating up on Houston and they didn't have the right pieces in place until they got their new coach. And their new coach, of course, not even just a new coach, they're GM too as well. But they started making the right moves and putting the right pieces in place to do what? Get them to the position of where they are now, that they are, with CJ Stroud, a playoff team.
They might. Let me tell you something. I would, with the moves that they've made, the personnel that they have, I have to at least put them in the AFC Championship. Doesn't mean they'll reach it. Doesn't mean that they'll win. But I have to at least put them in the NFC Championship. AFC Championship. Because number one, they got so much better. I mean, offensively, they got better. And that man over there on defense, mama, there go that man again, Mr. Danielle Hunter. Danielle, excuse me?
Don't forget he's throwing the Stephon Diggs twos now.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my word.
That's how you add the pieces that can get you back to the playoffs. That's how
Jack, he may be place. He may throw another 80 on the run, Jack. He might break their record. He might throw 82 on the run.
On the NFL doing what I do. That just wouldn't look right. But for Falcon fans, I'm watching, the NFL from last season. The 6-2 Detroit Lions versus the 4-4 Chargers. How you think Lions fans felt, Falcon fans? Before they got to that point of where they were. They were at a point of we can't make it to the playoffs. Oh, Falcons voluntary minicamp, April 22nd through the 24th. Off-season workouts, May 13th, 14th, May 16th, May 20th through the 21st, 23rd. Mandatory minicamp is June 10th through the 12th. Anytime I see Falcons, I got to react to it. I'm sorry. It's just the Falcon fan in me. But when you're talking about, of course, the teams who is making a new wave in the NFL, you have to mention the Detroit Lions.
Yes, you do.
Now have to mention even the Green Bay Packers. You now have to mention the Houston Texans. And I understand that they're not winning the Super Bowl because the Chiefs is, doing what they do as they dominate. But these teams are making a wave to where punch your ticket is very important. I want fans here in the chat to remember this. We're going to continue to say that all season when we win week 1, when we're 2-1, when we're 4-2, when we're 6-3, when we're 10-4. Punch your ticket. We're going to get back to the playoffs, but once you punch your ticket, guess what, Terry? Anything is possible.
I think let me tell you something. I have no doubt in my mind we will reach the playoffs. I'm thinking, can we win maybe 1 or 2 playoff games? I know we can win 1. I know we can win 1. And contingent upon seeding, if we can mess around and win 2, we might see ourselves in the NFC Championship. You never know what can happen. But I know this team can win right now. This team right now, if we don't draft anybody, is good enough to win 1 playoff game. If we don't draft anybody. If we go in and have a really good draft, Jack, the sky's the limit.
The Bucs in the playoffs last year were pretty much where we were supposed to be. We were fighting neck and neck down to the Bucs up until that last game. Which, if we would have beat the Bucs, if we would have beat the Vikings, if we would have beat the Titans, if you would have sacked Kyler Murray, it'd be a different story we're talking about right now. But
Well,
maybe
I'm
this is
so
the
glad
route.
they didn't. I'm
Maybe
so
this is
glad
the
they
route.
didn't.
Maybe this is the route
Yeah.
for us. That guy wants to say, "Hey, just do this route and you get to the Super Bowl." Well, it's a long route, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I think, to quote the guy from The Matrix, what happened happened and couldn't have happened any other way. It was
Yes.
supposed to happen, right? I mean, just, bottom line, we got a great coach. We got a great quarterback. We already had two great running backs. We already had a great receiver. We already had a great tight end. We got a pretty good offensive line.
You're adding the
We're
additional
s-
pieces now to the puzzle.
we're hey man, again, so many people are sleeping on this team.
Mm-hmm.
It amazes me at how many people are just like, oh, the Falcons, Kirk Cousins is 36 years old. Yes, but Kurt has a Ferrari. Kurt has an assortment of weapons. Kurt has more weapons than he's ever thrown to before. And Kurt's pretty good. So just imagine what he can do with this assortment of weapons. And you're going to give Kurt a defense?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to mess around and give Kurt a defense.
You're
Man,
gonna mess around and give Kurt some primetime games too.
hey, man. I tell you what.
Atlanta's back in the mix, baby. We back in the
How
mix,
about
baby.
what I love, Jack?
Baby.
What I love about my Falcons team, I love the helmets, but I tell you what I really love. I love the alternate jerseys, especially the throwbacks. And I'm hearing a rumor that there could be some changes to our uniform, or can you, I don't know, clarify that for me? Can you clear that up?
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button in the chat. Yes, there is going to be Tom Pelissaro, who does a great job with the NFL news. New uniform policy, which they talked about back in 2022, but of course now I guess this has it been revised now? It looks like as a result, the league has revised the uniform policy to allow for a third helmet to be added to each club's uniform closet. The expansion was offered to the teams that were going through the redesign process for the 2024 season and is now open to all clubs for the 2025 season. The second and third helmets, alternate color helmets, are subject to the requirements below. All use of alternate color helmets will be subject to the following requirements. Yes, there's requirements. Goodell got stuff in place.
Of course he does.
A, clubs must obtain an entire new set of alternate color helmets for all players, not just for one, not just for you, Drake. Big shout to Drake London.
Or you, Kyle.
Sheesh. Alternate color helmets must be the same make, model, and size as the applicable player's primary helmet. None of that switching up around here, Falcon fans. Alternate color helmets must be made available to all players at the start of training camp. Ooh, Falcon fans, we get to see this nigga at training camp, and should be fit at the same time as the primary helmet. Alternate color helmets must be worn in practice at a minimum during the week leading up to the game in which they will be used. So, Falcon fans, you will now know. Of course, we knew in the past, the jersey color, and shout out to Vincent Coakley too as well. He's a diehard Atlanta Falcon fan, but sometimes I miss what the jersey selection might be for the game, right? They might say, wear this jersey for the home game, wear this jersey for the away game. And I'm on the road and I might pack my stuff or I'm heading down to the Benz and, I wake up that morning. I'm like, damn, what the hell is the jersey selection for the Falcons? Vincent had already posted it. I go to Vincent's page. He got it up. Falcon fans, don't forget to wear your red jerseys. Falcon fans, don't forget to wear your white jerseys. That's a diehard fan, man. Big shout out to Vincent Coakley. But sometimes,
shout out to Vincent Coakley.
You're doing too much where you forget some things, right?
Yeah.
And I can just easily go to Vincent Coakley page. Like, I might be out of town. Like, okay, what jersey we wearing? All right, bet. Let me go and pack this. Big shout out.
Jack, let me ask you a question. Can an alternate jersey be worn with a regular uniform, or does it have to be worn with an alternate uniform? Can you mix and match? And can you wear that alternate jersey, alternate helmet, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 games, or is it unlimited times that you can bring that out? What are the rules as far as, if let's say my alternate jersey is white, We normally wear the black helmet with the white jerseys, but this time we decided to wear the white helmet. Does it matter? Are there certain restrictions where that is concerned?
Well, here you go, Terry. In summary, this revised policy provides that 1, clubs may now utilize a third approved helmet shell. 2, clubs can pair the third helmet shell with their alternate classic and or color rush uniforms. And 3, clubs must follow the parameters prescribed above to ensure that all alternate color helmets are properly fit and that all players are provided with sufficient opportunity to wear the alternate helmets in practice prior to utilizing them in the game. So you're not going to be pretty much switching up before the game starts. You're going to know all week what you're wearing because you're wearing the helmet in practice. But the cool thing is the third design of the helmet. Fans were saying, hey, look, we've been using this for a while. We need this. But it just adds to the excitement of what the Falcons got going on right now, right? New roster, new head coach. The schedule is looking, packed this season. The team is looking good. And then, of course, you're going to probably bring up a new design now for the helmets that can be used as your third alternate, which is actually pretty cool because some fans are like, man, just rock with the throwbacks. But
I like the throwbacks, man. I'll be honest with you. I would not be mad if we just switched to the throwback jerseys. I would not be mad at that at all.
Mm-hmm. And Falcon fans in the chat, hit that like, share, and subscribe button.
Yeah, that's right, Wallace. I agree, Wallace. I don't know, Motown. Maybe he just really wants to play for the Falcons. I don't know. But I agree. He does have a bone to pick with us. I don't know what it is.
So my thing, once again, to Cam, talented player in the NFL when he played. Big shout out to him, being from Atlanta too as well. I think that might be the biggest thing about it too, that fans do know that they've invested so much time into Matt Ryan and it wasn't a Cam Newton. You know what I'm saying? Then even after Matt Ryan, it wasn't Cam Newton. Right? You know what I'm saying? And even during the times where they had the chance to get rid of Matt Ryan and bring in Cam Newton, it wasn't Cam Newton. Right? So I think he just he really wanted to play for Atlanta. And I don't knock that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people
I don't knock it either.
They're from. AJ Terrell got it tatted on his arm, that Falcon logo. Like, there's some people who represent for their city. Like, you see Grady's a hometown hero. You see AJ's a hometown hero, right? Don't forget Zoe Carter's from this area too as well. But even it goes as far as Antonio Hamilton getting signed. He's from South Carolina, but his family's from I think his wife is from Georgia or Atlanta. So that's even cool that, a family member's from Atlanta. Kirk Cousins' wife is from Atlanta. Like, it's that big when people get to play for the city that they respect. Remember, there was a picture back when the Falcons went to the playoffs of Kirk Cousins at the home game with his wife and friends. At the Falcons home game.
It sure was. You're right about that. You are right about that.
There are some people that just, and of course it's Atlanta too as well. Like, the culture, it's just everything here, right? And we talked about that with the whole Russell Wilson thing, and I was telling fans like that was going to be so tough to do. But Falcon fans, we moved on. Kirk Cousins is our guy. Big shout out to every player and every coach and everybody in the Falcons organization who's trying to make this better, right? Because we have the opportunity here, fans, to not only win some games, but to get over the hump. Once again, I'm sitting here watching the 6-2 Detroit team that I would never think in the past couple of years that they would ever get to 6-2. After knowing the Detroit Lions as long as I've known them, I cannot believe that they even made it to that point where they were last year. Well, big shout out to them. Why? Because I know that my team is going to get back there. It's going to happen. Falcon fans, hit that like.
It's going to happen. It is going to happen.
Wallace Smith said, I think we need a white helmet. Those are suggestions. I'm sure the Falcons are going to do some more conference calls. The draft is coming up. I know season ticket holders, we get those emails about the conference calls with Terry and other members of the organization. Those are good questions to ask. So if they do bring up something again with another, conference call focus group, Wallace Smith, if you don't mind, I'd love to ask that question for you. What's up with a white helmet? That'd be something to look at.
I would love a white helmet.
The design of the Falcon logo is just crazy on anything you put it on, Terry. It's like that A hat on your head right now. You know what I'm saying? It goes with everything. But that white helmet,
oh my goodness.
Sheesh.
Oh man.
I had to bring out the sheesh one time.
That white helmet would be Southern playalistic. I know, that's an old Outkast song, and those of you who don't know Outkast, apologies. But you're from Atlanta, you should know Outkast.
Everybody in this
But yeah,
chat better know Outkast. And I
you said
hopefully when you're done with this podcast, you go put on just one or two Outkast tunes.
Southern Playalistic, Cadillac Funky Music.
I mean, you can play
Southern
Elevators. You
Playalistic,
can play some Stankonia. You can play some.
Cadillac Funky Music.
Yeah,
That's
man.
hey,
It's the vibes. I like the way you move. Go clean up. Do something.
get up, get out, and get something. Don't
Come
let the
on.
days of your life pass by. You got
Hey,
to
you
get
need to
up, get out, and
get something.
because you and I got to do for you and I. That's right. Go and
We can
get
go
that
over a
white
whole
helmet.
show of just Outkast and Dungeon Family
Yes, you
and Goody
could.
Mob, and it's just Atlanta. We're so Atlanta with this. It goes once again. It's out. It goes beyond the Falcons. It's culture. We were talking to Terry the other day. I was like talking with some Falcon fans Terry the other day. We getting ready to go to do some Braves games. Go see some United again. Falcon season ain't start yet. It's just Atlanta, bro. It's just who we are. You know what I'm saying? Falcon fans hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Some upcoming events we have for you all this Sunday. It's going down in a major way. Big shout out to Carlton Bunch in the chat too as well. Carlton, your stuff is on the way. I don't know if you received
What's up, Carlton?
Is yet, but your stuff
Carlton
is
said red helmets. He said
Carlton,
red helmets.
And the fans gonna have their opinion about and suggestions about what the Falcons' third design could be for that alternate helmet.
Wait, but doesn't the throwback uniform have red helmets, or am I tripping?
Yeah,
okay.
No, the throwback. Yeah, it's the red helmets. But see, some fans want to use the throwbacks. Some fans are looking for a new design. You see Wallace Smith with the white helmet. Mactown Durney said white helmet with the A on it. But
yeah,
now
I like
you
white
can
helmet.
create something. But we do know that there probably is going to be a new jersey within a year or two for the Falcons. So you now have to design it around what that new what that new brand could be, right? For that design. So you just want to make a helmet now, and it doesn't go with your new jersey that you're going to get next year. You got to have the concept ready. It's kind of like people with Apple. They have that stuff with iPhone. They got that stuff planned out months and years ahead, man.
That's true. That's true.
They're sitting on the iPhone 57 right now. Right now, they're sitting on it. They can't release it, but they got the specs on.
Oh my god!
I'm just telling you.
There's a video of Jack throwing 80 yards on the run in the game he scored 75 points in the day before. It's on the iPhone 57. It's coming, folks. It's coming. Now, you know what?
I think the iPhone 57, but it's out there.
I think we play better in the throwback uniforms. I have no data to back this up. Okay, I could be totally wrong, but it's just how I feel. I feel like, let me tell you something. When I know that we're playing in our throwback uniforms, I don't know what it is, man, but I get so excited. I mean, I get excited when we play anyway, but there's like this extra level of oomph, right? It's like when I see somebody hit somebody in those old school uniforms, I think about Scott Case. I think about Fulton Kuykendall. I think about guys that would hit you rather than shake your hand, and it just gives me this rush. So I would love if we could go to the throwback unis, but probably won't happen, but whatever. But I'm cool with it. Your new helmet's red, white. I'm cool with it. I think it's good. It's more ticket sales for the Falcons in some sort of way, because if you're going to have that helmet, you probably got to have a uniform, right? So yeah, all good.
Joseph Avery said we should have all white uniforms with the white helmet with the 60s Falcons logo on it. These are suggestions. I think fans need to email the Falcons.
Yeah, they really do.
Falcons on Twitter. Do whatever you can.
They really do.
Because you never know if your concept design might reach to the Falcons where they say, hey, we thought of that. Yeah. Or you know what? They might message you back and say, what kind of idea you got? Because you don't know what can happen from this. But fans are throwing their suggestions out. I'm sure whatever they do, Terry, you just mentioned it. It's going to boost ticket sales because they're going to throw whatever came out. Maybe it's going to be the primetime game they use the new helmet. Like, oh shit, the primetime game. Like, that's going to be pretty big. But we have some upcoming events. Out of Your Falcon Mind, will be with us Sunday. John and Mike will be with us Sunday here on One Time for the Fan, talking Falcons football with us. So definitely come on back here on Sunday. Bring your questions, bring your comments. We might even do a mock draft quickly on One Time for the Fan because we want fans to be ready for our draft night live podcast that we have coming up. it's going to be exciting. And once again, I know fans are enjoying their off season right now, right? There's some fans who listen to the podcast after we do it, some fans that watch it here live, some people that watch it days later, right? So enjoy this off season. Like, we're going to rise up together. We're going to win together this season. But of course, we're out of your Falcon mind on Sunday. It's going to be another electric show. We're going to hopefully not make it a 2.5 to 3 hour show. But when you got John and Mike on, those guys definitely know how to hold a conversation. They know how to talk Falcons football.
They get to it.
Great content creators here in the Falcons community too as well. And of course, we have a big event coming up at the end of this month that we will mention on Sunday. So if you want to put on your Falcons gear, Falcons fans, you want to come on out and rep, as a Falcon fan against other fan groups in the NFL, we got an event for you. I want you to show up, have a good time. So, and it's all free for a lot of fans. But if you want to be a part of what we got going on, you can donate, because we're going to be out there cooking food. We got the tailgate stuff set up. But it's one big NFL tailgate type of fan event. But it's not supported by the NFL. This is a fan group type thing. So there's going to be Packer fans out there. There's going to be Giant fans out there. There's going to be Cowboy fans out there, Saints fans, Bucks fans, a bunch of people. But of course, here in Atlanta, when they're having it, there needs to be who, Terry? Falcon fans out there. Right?
Fans for real.
Rise Up Tour. We're going to be out there. We're going to be out there super deep. So if y'all want to come out and hang out with us, talk some Falcons football, we're probably going to do a podcast out there too as well. So Falcon fans, we are just moving in the right direction. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Terry, any shout outs for tonight as we get ready to wrap up the show here? This has been great that we got a chance to talk about a lot with the Falcons. And then we have our Friday morning One Time for the Fan breakfast with One Time for the Fan show coming up. So it's going to be great, man. We get a chance to go back and recap this whole week. Any other news and updates happen with the Falcons we'll talk about on Friday. But what shout outs you got, man?
Hey, man, shout out to my mom. She's, hey, man, fighting her fight. Pretty tough going right now. But shout out to her, man. Love that woman. Did everything for me. Would not be where I am or anything without her today. Love her to life. Love her beyond it. Thank God for her. Obviously, hey, God woke me up this morning. I appreciate it, God. Shout out to the fans in this chat, man. You guys are great. You guys come up with ideas. You guys come up with content. You guys really keep us going, man. You guys support us, and we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you. Appreciate you. And please come and continue to grow with us. And hey, man, last but not least, I have to shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, the dude that threw 80 yards on a run, scored 75 points in a basketball game, and you might not have known this because this is just out this week, scored 10 goals in a game. That's right. That's right. This man is probably coming off the deck for Atlanta United next week if somebody gets injured. And that is none other than Mr. Jack Spade. Mr. Jack Spade, sir, the floor is yours. Go right ahead.
I also birdied that long par 5 the other day too as well. Not good, 474 yards. But also big shout out to everybody here in the chat. Big shout out to, once again, everybody who listens to the channel, who watches the channel, who supports the channel, who's telling their friends and family about it. We are some diehard Falcon fans, content creators who want to see the team win. We're going to remain positive about this team and this organization. Big shout out to Chase. Big shout out to my family. Big shout out to Chase's family. Big shout out to Bodie too as well. Big shout out to Terry, what you got going on over there with your family. Prayers up to you. LBB, I don't know if he's in the chat tonight, but I always chatted up with Eric too as well. Big shout out to Eric Parker. LBB. And of course, all the fans worldwide. We're gonna win this Super Bowl here real soon, and you guys gonna remember what we talked about on One Time for the Fan and on other content creators channels too as well. But if you remain positive this long, it's going to pay off, right? It's going to pay off. So Falcon fans, continue to have faith in this team too as well. Wallace Smith is in the chat with my prayers go out to you and your mother, and hope she gets well soon.
Thank you, Wallace. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Definitely well needed, and thank you so much. Go ahead, Jack. Sorry about that.
No, you are great. And for Falcon fans, like I said, man, I've been chatting up with a lot of people offline, and just the things that we can have, in the works happen here shortly. I'm just truly blessed because One Time for the Fan has come a long way, but we have a long way to go, right? Like, we're going to be in here talking about Falcons football 24/7. We're actually looking to open up a new time slot. I think our Friday morning show is doing great, but with so much Falcons football and content that we're trying to bring, and it's the off season, that we're looking for another time slot too as well. So we got Sundays, we got Wednesdays, we got Friday mornings. Man, might have to get another one of them new time slots up in here.
Hey man, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
With One
maybe another morning day. I don't know.
I'm thinking about something, man. We might have to wake these folks up, man. We might have to wake them up.
Do it.
You know, I'm seeing West Coast crew show up on Friday morning. We might have to find another way to wake them up, man.
Bro, is there a better way to wake up than talking about Falcons football? If it is, I don't know it, man.
Old school, your eyes. You didn't even get the Waffle House yet, and you're just
you got the eye boogers. You got the eye boogers. Okay, I got you.
Hey, it's going down in a major way. Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Terry, I will see you Friday morning, my good friend.
Yes, sir.